ete sastra prashita ete chaitra prashotavai punastvav angirasha shmitaha rathit harananam pravara setropeta dvijatayaha. Ete, the sons begotten by Angira, Setra Prashutaha, became the children of Ratitara and belonged to his family because they were born from the womb of his wife. Vai, indeed, Punaha, again, Chua, but Angira Shaha, of the dynasty of Angira, Shmitaha, they were called Rati Taranam, of all the sons of Ratitara, Pravaraha, the chief, Setra Upetaha, because of being born of Chaitra, the field. Dvi Jatayaha, called Brahmana, being a mixture of Brahmana and Kshatriya. Srila Prabhupada's translation, having been born from the womb of Ratitara's wife, all these sons were known as the dynasty of Ratitara. But because they were born from the semen of Angira, they were also known as the dynasty of Angira. Among all the progeny of Ratitara, these sons were the most prominent because owing to their birth, they were considered Brahmanas. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the meaning of the Dvi Jatayaha as mixed caste, indicating a mixture of Brahmana and Kshatriya. Om Ganatimirandasya Gana Shalakaya Chakshu Amilitamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Shaktam Sahakana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Shakam Shah Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namashtite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Turubhyascha Kriva Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Prabhupada. Hari Bol. So here we are with the Bhakti Center family. We're so excited to be with all of you. So these verses, this is an interesting chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
It really is.
Yes, it's called The Downfall of Sabari Muni. That's the name of the chapter. So we know that we're entering into a zone where we're going to be learning many different things about this personality, Sabari Muni. However, there's a preparation to get there, to understanding what's going to happen with Sabari Muni. And so in this preparation, these first texts, yesterday, I think Doyal Garanga, he spoke on those. on text 1 and text 2. And he was just so cool. And I was looking at him last night as he, giving the class, and I was thinking, wow, he's kind of relaxed and he's laid back, and it's just so cool. And he's like, okay, well, and he's just being so authentic in how he was approaching these 2 verses. Then I was thinking of Gaur Sharan Prabhu and how he gave us this verse to speak on. I'm like, Gaur Sharan Prabhu, what are you trying to do to us here? Anyway, so here we are with these verses. So for me, generally, when I read verses in the Bhagavatam, I become curious. I become very curious when there's some things that I may not quite understand in terms of my material conditioned mind. Then I become curious, and then I want to learn myself. I want to learn what's going on here. What does this really mean? And so here it's a very short purport where Prabhupada is saying that he's quoting Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is actually one of the acharyas. We know that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is revered in terms of understanding Vedic literature, Vedic scriptures. So Prabhupada quotes him, and he says that the meaning of this Sanskrit word, which here in the purport, in the Sanskrit transliteration, it says Dvija Jatayaha. So they're called Brahmana because they're a mixture of Brahmana and Kshatriya. So here, as the story goes, and Doyle spoke so nicely about this yesterday. However, we hear that this personality who is in a lineage, she's like a descendant. He's coming down from, I believe it's Durvasa Muni, all the way down, right? Or Ishvaku. He's coming down from Ishvaku.
Ishvaku is after.
Oh, Ishvaku is after him. So, okay, there's a lineage and Ishvaku is after him. And there's a whole lot of stories about Ishvaku. And so there's a little bit of a story about him. And so in that age, in that time, he and his wife were not able to have any children. And so, that's not so strange for us. We can see today in our world, there are many people that can't have children. And we see as science evolves, there's many different ways that people are choosing to have children, even now, many, many different ways. And so it's not so hard to understand that in that particular age, that this personality, I believe he was a king, Ratitara, his wife, and him, they were not able to have children. So of course they're figuring out, he's figuring out with her, because they're combinedly, they're a couple, and they're figuring out how to have the best kids, how to have the best children. And so that again is not so, it's not so strange. Here we are in the mature world. Most ladies and husbands, when they get married, they're thinking about how their progeny, are going to be exemplary. They want to have good progeny, even if it's just children that have no physical problem, physical anomaly. They want to have children that are wholesome, so to speak, wholesome. Even if they don't have intelligence about the spiritual wholesomeness or even the emotional wholesomeness, everyone wants to have at least physical wholesomeness. And so this understanding is not, again, this is not something that is so strange to us. And so here, he and his wife, they're trying at that time to have a child. They're trying to have children. And so in that age, we're totally in a different time and space. However, in that time and space and in that age, which I can't remember if what is that Treta, Prabhu, do you know, Goracharan? Was that, I can't remember which age that was. It was either Dwarpa or Treta, one of those. But anyway, so however, what happened is, so him and his wife together, they decide to have children from this sage, this saintly personality that could possibly, not could possibly, definitely a saintly personality will bring about progeny. They'll bring about, better, according to that age and time, that they will bring about better progeny in terms of children that are wholesome. And if anything, we can understand that even practically speaking, a person that is very saintly, not necessarily that this will happen. However, according to Sastra, according to the qualities of that person, so a saintly person who has saintly qualities would normally, if they have children, their children would normally be saintly. Of course, Prabhupada tells us that, depending on the environment, depending on what's, goes on in the womb of the child with the mother, that will determine what will happen with the child. And so here, he decides, Ratihara and his wife, that they want to have, saintly children. So he chooses this personality to have, to bring forth children. And so now they're having these children, and Prabhupada explains here that these sons, they had a few sons, that they, because of their birth, because now the children have taken birth, really from the father, who is the sage. What was the name of the sage, Ekavira?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the sage. Okay, it's okay, you don't have to turn down. He because of the sage, he was a Brahmana, so therefore, he would have these children of Ratihara's wife, they would have Brahminical qualities, right? However, the father was a Kshatriya, he's a king. So therefore, they will also have qualities. They will also have Kshatriya qualities. So they will have both. And Prabhupada has explained to us that, yes, that definitely a person can have both qualities. So here's where we get this word, Dvijatayaha, and this word mixed caste. Now, okay, so let's understand this. So here, this mixed caste means the qualities of these children. So the qualities of these children are Brahminical qualities and Kshatriya qualities. Now, my curiosity, is satisfied at that point, right? Okay, it makes sense. I can understand this even in this world. My conditioned mind might want to say, that conditioned mind that I have might want to question, how is that possible that, that this person can, his wife can be impregnated, by somebody else, and then they have the children, even though there's a different person that's impregnating his wife, these children, they're part of his whole, this progeny of children, they're a part of his, family, because Prabhupada says here, owing to their birth, they were considered Brahmanas. However, among all, they were sons, they were prominent. These are prominent sons. So then I thought, okay, as I said, curiosity. Then I thought, well, that's going on again here in our world. And Doyle spoke a little bit about that yesterday. We have surrogates that are impregnating all the time, especially now more than ever. We have artificial insemination. There's so many different ways, right, of having children, as I shared earlier. And depending, it's very, even like a young girl, and this is something that's very common today. A young girl wants to have a child, they're going to choose the male that would best support the kind of child that they want to have. Actually, many parents, I've known a few, that before they have children, or even before they get into a relationship, they will choose a male that they know that from that male, they will have a certain kind of child. And so that's going on even today. So here, it's not, again, it's not abnormal. The husband in this case was caring for his wife because at that time, during that age, they want to have children that will propagate a family or a lineage that could go on to really be exemplary for the world. That was the reason. So they coming together and making this decision, whether in my conditioned mind, there is a question. Did she agree to it? Did she not agree to it? Does it matter? Not really. Not really. They're a couple. And couples, when they come together, couples that are not dysfunctional, when couples come together and they're functional, they make decisions together. And the male may get, the accolade of having made the decision sometimes. But however, most often, Ekavira is shaking his head. So that might not be the case in our relationship. However, in most cases, the male do get the allocates. In most cases, in many cases. However, that doesn't mean that the husband and wife haven't made the decision together. Even today, we can see in India, the matriarchal society is very strong, extremely strong. And usually a male won't make a decision unless they check in with their mother. I have seen that so many times. They won't let you know they're checking in with their mother. However, they are checking in with their mother. So however, you never know because the ladies are very quiet. They don't say anything. You would never know in terms of their externals. That's changed. Kali Yuga has changed everything. It's not like that anymore so much. However, in some cultured families, I have still seen that. So that was the culture at the time. And as I said, that culture still go on. So what is this verse? How does it relate to us? What is, it's just such a simple verse. What is the meaning of it? So it's for me, my curiosity was then exploring more about this mixed caste. Now here again, Prabhupada creates this tension because you hear this word caste, right? And this word caste is kind of again like, okay, my conditioned mind is like caste. What? This is a system in our modern world that is it's kind of just really what's the word I want to use, Ekavira? This caste system. In our system today, how it's understood.
How is it understood?
Yeah.
It's contaminated.
It's understood as being contaminated. So I want to demystify this whole caste word because this can really kind of deter us. And this goes on in Srila Prabhupada's books consistently. We'll always find things that we can choose. We can make a choice to be curious about it, explore it, research it, try to understand it, pray on it, or we can choose to just just decide that become disturbed, become resentful, become angry. We have that choice. And yes, depending on where we are in our Krishna consciousness, then some things can be very disturbing. So again, this mixed caste, let's demystify the word this caste. In previous ages, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriya, as we said, it was about qualities. And Prabhupada explains that for us, these qualities, the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Sudras, the entire Varnashram system was set up by Krishna. Krishna is the one that set the system up. And so this Prabhu, Ratihara, this king, of course, he wanted children that would be representative of the priestly class, which is why him and his wife had these children from this sage. Angira, right? Thanks, Ekavira, from Angira. However, because as I said earlier, he was a Kshatriya, so they also had those qualities also. In previous ages, those personalities had qualities that were the leaders of the society. They were the leaders of the tradition. And so Prabhupada says here that this verse, Chaturvanyamaya Shrishtam, Guna Karma Vibhavagataha. And he says that although I am the creator, of the system, Krishna is the creator of the system, of the Swarnashram system, which we now, in many ways, people think of this system as a materialistic system. However, it's not a materialistic system. It's a system that's set up by Krishna. And he says, Krishna says, you should know I'm the non-doer, that because I'm unchangeable. We understand that, we've learned that. We learn who Krishna is. And so therefore, these 4 divisions of human society are created by me. This is what Krishna says. They are created by me. So therefore, in its original state, in its original pure state, not contaminated in the way that it's contaminated today, those personalities, the Brahmanas, who had certain kinds of qualities, right? And again, Bhagavad Gita explains to us the qualities of a Brahmana. Bhagavad Gita also explains to us the qualities of a Kshatriya. And those qualities were the qualities that everyone would want their children to have. Even today, we want our children to have some of those qualities. We want our children to have, as we're aspiring to be devotees, we want our children to have Brahminical qualities. And so these children, they had some of these qualities. Now, for me, my curiosity goes on to, well, okay, let's see. Even though they had those, they had those Brahminical tendencies. Is that as the lineage expanded, did they live up to those qualities? Because now what we're learning in this whole chapter is the downfall of Subari Muni. So somehow or other, some personalities in this lineage did not live up to some of these qualities. And so therefore we have the fall of the Brahmanas, we have the fall of that class of people, and that continues today, which is why we have what is called the caste system. It is a materialistic system that has really been denigrated by Kali Yuga and people in Kali Yuga in our conditioned state of mind. I was just reading a story yesterday about this person that was considered a Dalit, which is explained as untouchable. In the caste system, there's the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Sudras, and then under that is another class of people called untouchable. And he came from that class of people that are called untouchable. They're even like below the Sudras in one sense. And so they do the most menial kinds of work. And so, for example, they clean toilets. And actually, there was a big movement for these people because many of these people were getting ill. They were getting sick from the whatever the fumes that come from doing this kind of service. So then what happened is this one person from this group of people, he went to Harvard University. He ended up going to Harvard University. He went to some of the best schools. He went to a school in London. He got his PhD at Harvard. After having his PhD at Harvard and going back to his country, India, he was still considered a Dalit. He was still considered an untouchable. So it didn't matter that he had been educated in the best of schools. That system that is considered now the caste system in this materialistic society is almost kind of like unbroken in the consciousness of people. Now, gradually, it is changing, this materialistic way of looking at the system. However, for us as aspiring devotees, we have a proper understanding that we're not bounded as devotees. Prabhupada has taught us we're not bounded by this system, the system of an ashram that was set up just so that society could work in a way that's complementary for making things very progressive in a society. And so Ekavira is going to explain to us why how Srila Prabhupada, took us out of all of this drama of these different, varnas, even though they are important, but Prabhupada made it so simple for us, so very simple.
Interesting. Thank you, Vraja. As Vraja Lila is expressing, the Varnashram system is really a template that Krishna establishes for the proper function of society. And there's no way around this system of Varnashram Dharma. It doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it democracy, you can call it socialism, communism, whatever ism. You're going to have these four orders in society. They're required to actually function properly. And so, as we said, it's a template for material existence and how to function in the material realm. However, Srila Prabhupada, and through the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Vaishnavas, they are providing the template to actually transcend the material system and the material realm. And so one is a template for the material and one is a template for getting out of the material. And so there's a verse in Bhagavatam where even in the engagement of the Varnashram system, the proper understanding of it, that we engage in these occupational activities, all for the pleasure of the Lord, pleasure of Krishna, Samsadhya Haritoshan. And so if that is the understanding, there can be gradual progress to be alleviated from this material consciousness and to ultimately get out of the material realm. At the same time, Srila Prabhupada gives us even more deeper understanding, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives us deeper understanding that through this process of not Varnashram Dharma, but this process of Bhakti, the process of Bhakti, one can quickly actually transcend the modes of material nature by the grace of the Lord. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he expresses that, he's Gopi Bhartu Padakamalaya Dasa Dasa Das. And so he's expressing in that particular verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when he's there in front of the Rath Yatra cart with all of his divine associates dancing or preparing for the Rath, and he goes before Lord Jagannath and he expresses this particular prayer. I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya or Sudra, nor am I a Brahmachari, householder, Vanaprastha, or Sannyas. I identify myself only as a servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. And so he's the maintainer of the gopis. He is like the ocean of nectar. He is the cause of the universal transcendental bliss. He is always existing with full brilliance. And so this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift to the world, gift to us, the understanding of who we are originally, and not Brahman or in this particular verse, or Kshatriya, a mixed caste. And so this is one way to actually, establish or fulfill that curiosity, to understand that we're not a part of that. We may find ourselves in given situations where we may have certain material qualities, and we use those qualities in the service of the Lord, the service of Krishna, to please the Lord ultimately. But at the same time, we understand that we are ultimately not, we are not a part of this Varnashram system. We are the servant of the Lord. And so sometimes we see devotees, what Srila Prabhupada expressed in engagement of the devotional service, that they do the needful in the process of devotional service. They do whatever is necessary that's for the pleasure or what will please Krishna and please the spiritual master. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives those 6 principles of surrender, Sharanagati. And in those 6 principles of Sharanagati, Was it accepting those things that are favorable for devotional service and rejecting those things that are unfavorable, accepting the Lord as one's maintainer, protector, and surrendering everything, which Bali Maharaj is an example of that, Atmanivedanam, and then cultivating this humble attitude. And so this particular verse here that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed, Gopi Bhakti Padakamaliyo Dasa Dasa Anudas. It is a gift, as we express, but do we really, really realize this particular verse? Do we really, really realize this particular verse? Do we realize that we are the eternal servant of Krishna? And so that's leads to that particular last aspect of Sharanagati, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur expresses the cultivation of a humble attitude. When we realize the precarious position that we're in, we can understand that we may not realize that we are an eternal servant of Krishna, and it's a humbling experience. We see ourselves in this precarious position in the world, being attached, seeing ourselves as Kshatriya or seeing ourselves as Brahmana, as opposed to seeing ourselves as a servant who happens to be utilizing this particular varna as an offering to Krishna, as an offering to others, and in their Krishna conscious unfoldment. And so we sometimes see that we misidentify ourselves as we are the actual service, as opposed to the servant engaging in a particular service. And that's something that, we can see practically. I remember when we were serving in many different areas, temple president and temple manager or preaching center managers, thinking ourselves as temple president or temple manager, as opposed to being the servant in this capacity. And it's important. One thing that did come through the process of engaging in that particular service, and I realized that, I wasn't a temple president or a temple manager. I was actually engaging in this service, and this particular service was ultimately for my purification. And so, therefore, yes, we are required to actually engage in certain activities. We're engaged in ways in which we do things that are beneficial for those who we are serving. We see that in all areas where persons may find themselves in a so-called leadership position, even in the situation of a family, parents. I remember when I was a child and I would do things that weren't proper, and my mother would chastise me, and oftentimes she would, pull out a belt. And of course, those who aren't into corporal punishment, they might not appreciate this, but she would pull out a belt, and before she used the belt, she said, "Now this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you." And, I was thinking, are you kidding me? You must be joking. This is going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. But then understanding, if one is, if we have the proper understanding that this person is not my property, but as a service to this person, I have to correct their behavior, try to help them to correct their behavior. We see that Mother Yashoda in tying Krishna to the grinding mortar. She doesn't want to chastise Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Who can chastise Krishna ultimately, really? But she's thinking that I'm his mother. And if I don't correct his behavior, then who will? What will he do? What type of person in society will he actually be? And so she engages in this service as a mother of the Supreme Lord. And so she was a prime example of engaging in this particular service for the pleasure of the Lord. Of course, this is a high level, but it does provide us some example. And so cultivation of this humility and becoming aware of our real nature as a servant of the servant of the servant. How can we actually develop this? Well, we see the whole process of bhakti. And we don't have much time, but we just briefly, in a nutshell, by an engagement of the ninefold process, and primarily the chanting of the holy names. Mm-hmm. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur also elaborates in the Sharanagati in speaking about these 6 principles of surrender. He expresses that Nanda Kumar, Sri Nanda Kumar, hears the prayers of those who surrender to him in accordance of these 6 angas. And so even while we actually cultivate cultivating humility and chanting the holy name is actually a prayer itself, in and of itself. Srila Prabhupada elaborates that, when we're chanting the Maha Mantra, the meaning is, dear Lord, please pick me up and engage me in your loving devotional service. And then we find several Vaishnava acharyas, they go into deeper aspects of the meaning of the Maha Mantra. Jiva Goswami speaks about it. Bodhananda Saraswati Thakur speaks about it. Gopal Guru speaks about the meaning of the holy name. And so although Sri Prabhu, the Lord himself, and the calling upon his name through the form of the Maha Mantra is a prayer, we can still, with the understanding that Sri Prabhu is a person, we can pray to Sri Prabhu. And this is also what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is expressing. We can pray to Nanda Kumar, we can pray for these different qualities. And through these prayers, and chanting the holy names with sincerity, then we chaito darpana marjana, we can clean the dust from the mirrors of the heart, and therefore become aware of our position as dasa, dasa, anudas. And so Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he expresses in one of the prayers to Sri Prabhu, and I'll have to read it because I don't remember this one. He expresses, "O glorious holy name of Krishna, Sri Prabhu, only you have the power to conquer lust, hatred, and all other vices. O glorious holy name of Krishna, Sri Prabhu, make me forget the dualities of material existence arising from the material body. O glorious holy name of Krishna, Sri Prabhu, help me to forget the material world and reveal to me the sweet splendor of the spiritual world." And so, Varnashram Dharma, it's one template for functioning in the material world, chanting the holy names, Sri Prabhu, and spreading the holy name to others is the template we're getting out.
So thank you so very much. In conclusion, we just want to share our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for helping us to demystify some of these verses that are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and helping us to understand that because he put these kinds of seemingly controversial type topics for us to discuss, then that gives us an awareness of understanding things like Varnashram, things like Daivi Varnashram, and as Ekavira said, these prayers that are so important for us to, to just lovingly and curiously continue in this process of bhakti. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mother Vraja Lila and Ekavira Prabhus. Sorry, I've been mindful of connections. thank you very much for like dealing a very sensitive topic with patience and also giving so much clarity. It was a very nice combination of both of you choosing like a chunk of the topics very nicely that Mother Vraja Lila explained very detailed about what is the right understanding of the caste system and the Varnashram, and Prabhu giving the ultimate culmination of that system. So thank you very much for spending your time explaining very nicely. If others have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask now.
Maybe we'll check in the chat.
No. No.
So we were told that we won't be greeting the deities, we won't be greeting Radha Muralidhar. So if you have anything you'd like to share, please share. If not, then thank you so much. I'm very happy to see Osai. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just so happy to see you. Haven't seen you in so long.
Ishara
Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Ishara, please forgive us, Mr. Vinda. Please forgive us, Ishara Dalal, if we made any mistakes.
Yes.
If we said anything, please correct us here. We're always open to being helped by the Vaishnavas.
Yes.
You are my worshipable seniors. We were, Radhika's downstairs listening on YouTube. So she also wanted to thank you. But thank you. Your classes are always nourishing. And just being with you makes us feel that we want to become devotees.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We're all reflections of each other.
Hare Krishna. And it's nice to see Kamaniya and Gorsharan and others. Hari Hari.
Yes, Kamaniya is just such a support system.
Yes.
And there's a nice community that has built up here. Gorsharan Prabhu's really built up a nice Andreas there.
Yes.
He's regular on these classes. And so many nice people. Gaur Kumar is there. So yeah, this is a nice community. We feel like even though we're virtual, we feel connected.
Yes.
Yes.
I think Kamaniya has a question. She's got a hand up.
Okay. Yes, Kamaniya.
I just wanted to actually express appreciation for a point that Ekavira Prabhu made that really hit me and has really given me a lot to think about. The point you made, Prabhu, of seeing ourselves as the service rather than the servant, meaning that's the conditioning we fall into. So this was a powerful point that you made. Unfortunately, I missed the first 15 minutes of the class, but I will go back and listen in. But that point especially really was a wake-up call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Grateful for this opportunity to hear from you both. Thank you.
Very well. And we see Pink is here. Thank you so much, Pink, for being here.
Hare Krishna.
Harival Machavinda. Hare
I'm
Krishna.
sorry. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to make a connection. I apologize for coming in late. It was to my detriment, actually, because it was such a wonderful class. And I wanted to say how much I appreciate being able to hear both of you reflect on your lifetime of service to Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, the Vaishnavas, and Lord Chaitanya's mission. And I've known you both for so long. This is, it's such a treat. And so I wanted to make a connection to what Ekavira Prabhu said regarding the multitude of positions in servitude that you've had over the years, taking care of devotees. In fact, when I was living at Gitanagri, both of you were assigned as, you were temple president, you were caretakers, literally, and I'm just letting people know kind of reflectively, caretakers to the point where they had, and I have this system in my house right now because of the way they did this. They had a drawer full of medicinal things that you could use to make yourself feel better that were really like, holistic and organic and, chamomile tea and things like that, a drawer full of them. So you just come over and heat water and make yourself a hot tea or something that would make you feel better if you weren't feeling so well. But the connection I wanted to make was when you reflected on being managers. And Ekavira Prabhu said, in the position of so-called leaders. In the material world, the word leader is attractive from, so many perspectives, but when it becomes attractive from the perspective of false ego, it can be damaging. So what I wanted to say is that, again, when you were managers of Gitanagri, there were beautiful little kittens that were in the barn and everywhere. And it stuck with me that the perspective I understood from you is that not even an ant should be harmed where on a dam. And Ekavira told me this because there were some devotees visiting that wanted a little kitten. And he said the kittens can't be taken away unless it is approved by management, because once that kitten or anything leaves, if it's harmed, the karma comes back and the managers are responsible. So that's the level of integrity in the service of caretaker, which is really the name of a leader that both he and Vraja Lila accepted, maintained, and still are committed to. And in that mood, the mood of having that, even if there is a mistake, then they're still operating in the right way that relates to the service of Lord Chaitanya's mission and really taking care of souls. So I wanted to reflect on that in regards to who Vraja Lila and Ekavira really are and their level of commitment of service and devotion, and in that mood of servant. Yeah. And so the kitten, was approved to leave with someone who they knew would care for it. So I just wanted to reflect on that. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mitravinda, for sharing that and encouraging words. Yes.
I think for us, something that is important is we are simply progeny, I will say, of amazing teachers. In both of our lives, as you know, we've been so cared for by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and His Holiness Radhanath Swami throughout our life. And they are just embodiment. They are embodiment of being caretakers. And so we are simply reflecting what we've learned from them. And we continuously pray that we can be better examples, because we fall short in so many ways, so many ways. So we're constantly in prayer, and we're constantly begging forgiveness from the Vaishnavas for mistakes that we make, because we do make mistakes. Yeah, we make mistakes.
Well, not we make some mistakes, but we make mistakes. We definitely do. The Vaishnavas are so kind and forgiving that we pray to the Vaishnavas for their forgiveness. Pray to Mitravinda, forgive us for the mistakes we
made with you, because although you speak so beautifully, and this is the thing, we all have, like, as the verse is talking about, these different qualities. So we do have some of these qualities. We do have some Brahminical qualities, and we do have some Kshatriya qualities. And sometimes those different qualities, we may not completely complement, each other, understanding. And that understanding comes with growth. And so Mitravinda has a little Kshatriya tendency, and it's very beautiful. And sometimes it's not always understood. And so if in any way we have offended you, please forgive us.
Thank you for allowing me. You're asking me to forgive you, but it is to my complete and utter benefit to forgive you for anything and everything, because in forgiving, like, I don't even know how to say this. It's like quite daunting to me, because I know I make mistakes, and I'm often, what I reflect upon also is that I'm often misunderstood. I kind of stand alone in I guess the personality that I am, I'd say that. But you and Vraja Lila, I accepted you in a certain position many years ago, and that still stands. And reflectively, this journey with you, the two of you, and all of the others that have come into my life on this path of devotional service, which really is, it's Bhakti, so it's really about love, has been a roller coaster. And as we know, roller coasters go up and down, and sometimes the G-forces are so much that you just want to jump off, or, you know what I mean? It makes your head swim. But it's been reflectively, everything has been to my benefit. And in understanding at this point on a deeper level that Krishna is the controller, and there's not a blade of grass that moves without his sanction. So the good times and those that are perceived as bad are ultimately for my benefit. And I have heard this many times. And I thank, again, both of you for being part of the journey that helps me in so many ways, to include, chastisement when needed, and love and care when needed. And regardless of whether it's in person or not, definitely well wishes. Hare Krishna. Thank you. From my heart. And no need for forgiveness ever again.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Andrea, thank you for being here. Andrea, I read an article that you wrote that was just so heartwarming and inspiring for me. Thank you so very much.
Hare Krishna. I haven't written any articles, but there was a very talented Prabhu of ISKCON News that wrote an article about me. So
Okay.
any praises should go to him, because he interviewed me for an hour, and it was me going all over the place, and he managed to take my energy and bring it into a cohesive state. So that goes all glories to him.
Yeah, it was a beautiful article. I didn't know who wrote it, but I just saw a picture of you in that article. I saw you.
Kamaniya just wrote his name in the chat. Yes, it was Madhava Smalan.
Yes, he's a wonderful writer. At the same time, he had to have content to make it as it was.
That's right. That's right. Yes. I learned about you from that article. It really touched me. Thank you so much. Jai.
As the two of you said, it's only from the example that I've had of others, like Rukmini Prabhu is a big part of that, and all the other devotees at the Bhakti Center who encouraged me in that service, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if the Bhakti Center didn't exist and the devotees there hadn't said, "Oh, would you like to do this service with the children?" I wouldn't even know of it. So the Bhakti Center and all of its devotees are so special, and it's just a jewel within New York City. Amazing.
We agree.
That's right.
Ditto. Ditto. Okay, Gaura Charan Prabhu. I don't know. It doesn't seem like we have any. Yeah.
Questions. Yeah. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking out the time and spending and giving such an wonderful understanding of this complicated topic. Thank you very much.
We miss you, Gaura Charan. Gaura Charan, we miss you so much. We really miss you.
I really miss everybody. Hope to be back soon.
Yes.
And praying for your safety and yes, your family.
And your family.
Yes.
Yes, your mom. Hare Krishna. Haribol, dear devotees, thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Vraja Lila Devi and Ekavira Prabhu's Jai. Thank you.
Vancha kalpatarubhishta
Kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhakti Center ki jai. Shri Radha ki jai.
Haribol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.